Chief Researcher and the Head of Precision Agriculture Research Group at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Professor Moses Cho joins us now for a little bit more. Prof, thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.
All right. I guess that in the work that you do, climate change is something that you've been watching for some time, and how agriculture in particular has been affected. What have you observed even before some of these headlines have started to dominate our front pages?
It's quite interesting and unfortunate, what is happening to agricultural landscapes. And the global temperatures have been rising, and in fact, in the tropics and subtropics, the temperatures have been rising at more than twice the global rate, at about 1.5 to 2 degrees higher than the global rate, and that trend is expected even in this century, the 21st century, and the impact on our agricultural landscapes are palpable. 2 years back, we published a paper which showed widespread farm abandonment in South Africa, particularly in the provinces of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and the Northwest. And this is impacting on the small-scale producers more than on the more traditional commercial farmers. And if you talk to the farmers on the ground, they would tell you, climate change is causing a lot of, sort of variability in rainfall. And farmers, traditionally would expect rains, around October, the first rains around October, but they are no longer sure of when the rainy season is going to start. And this is, causing a lot of crop failure, and the sector is no longer profitable, particularly for the small-scale farmers. That is what we are currently observing.
The work you do, I think, looks a lot at trying to integrate technology into farming practices. Now, on a normal trajectory, you would have been looking at improving current practices, etc., etc. How much has your work and your research has had to change as a result of climate disruption?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's unfortunate that our farmers cannot adapt at the speed at which things are changing, and so we will have to look at technology solutions, and we are leveraging on the sort of technologies that are available and probably getting more and more accessible. Like people are getting smart devices, smartphones. We're having more and more satellites in space that are providing data. From the American Space Agency, NASA, from the European Space Agency, and this, some of this data are provided for free to us on the African continent, and so we're leveraging on all these new technologies to see if we can, get information to farmers on near real time, so that farmers are able to adapt and build resilience against the rapidly changing climate.
I would imagine that another challenge is to use science maybe to make our crops more robust to extreme temperatures. And there's big debates about GMO, I guess, but we're at a situation now that solutions have to be found. Nature is letting us down.
Yes, indeed. I usually kind of regret the fact that in the course of our agricultural revolution, we some sort of abandon some of the traditional crops that are more drought tolerant, like your millet and your sorghum. And now maize has become a staple across the region and indeed across Africa. And now we again conducting research to try to extract genes from the resistant grain or cereal crops and to splice them into maize. And to ensure that we are generating new drought-resistant varieties. But we would have to again start to build awareness around the foodstuffs that are more traditional to the region, which I think are more drought-resistant when compared to some of the grains and vegetable crops that we've adopted from other continents.
All right. You talked a little while ago about the pace of change being slower than the disruption caused by climate change. What can we do? Are we on a losing wicket here where we're just going to end up with food security issues, or is there something we can do in the meantime?
As I mentioned, as I indicated earlier, that now we have lots of different sort of technologies available. You have drone technology is becoming more and more available. Drones are becoming more and more cheaper. I think we have to match the rapidly changing technology space with regulation, so that farmers can benefit from these new technologies. I mentioned your smart devices. So we are able to generate information about soil and crop condition on near real-time basis from these technologies that are now available. And we can provide that information to farmers. They can access this information via their mobile devices. And I guess if you even move into our rural areas, you'll find more and more farmers with smart devices. And so with a click of a button on your smart device, you can see a map of your farm. You can appreciate the variability of crop condition on your farm. You can target areas that lack sufficient nutrients and soil moisture, and irrigate or fertilize the farm according to the variability of the soil and crop condition. In that way, you minimize the cost of input, particularly water. Again, given that we are in a semi-dry area of the world, and where water is a scarce resource, we need to start to really adapt in ways that we minimize the use of water, at the same time optimizing production. These technologies are available. I think going forward, we need greater awareness, greater training of the farmers, reskilling of our farmers, so that we can take advantage of these new technologies.
All right, talking about farmers, farm workers, I suppose we've gone past the stage where you send out the farmers with a sun hat and a bit of sunscreen. We're seeing heat strokes now, and I just wonder if there isn't going to be, again, adaptation required in terms of protecting our farm workers out in the fields, working practice and that kind of thing.
Definitely. There's a lot we have to do to protect our farmers. I mean, different farming sort of systems have been proposed, agroforestry. I mean, you imagine yourself walking out in the field and you don't have a place you can probably take, if it's getting too hot, you can take cover under a shade. I mean, if we are not adapting these very simple techniques of farming, conservation, agriculture, and all of that, I think we kind of expose our farm workers to, some of the impacts, as you mentioned, the heat waves and so forth. So these are simple solutions that we need to adopt, agroforestry, ensuring that our farms are not just, hectares and hectares of crops of the same type, but, mixed farming and having some trees within our farming systems.
Professor Cho, I wish I could talk to you for longer. We've run out of time. Thank you for your input tonight.
Thanks, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, that's the Chief Researcher and Head of Precision Agriculture Research Group at the CSIR, talking to us about climate change and agriculture and the rate of adaptation slower than the disruption caused by climate change.